Who is Travis Bickle? Well, he's a hard worker.
Want to work uptown tonight, South Bronx, Harlem?
I'll work anytime, anywhere.
A cinema buff, a political activist.
I'd like to volunteer.
Great. I'll take you right over here.
That's all right. I'd rather volunteer to her if you don't mind.
Travis Bickle is an upstanding citizen. It's everyone else that is the problem. Taxi Driver is the first in a series of films written and or directed by Paul Schrader, known as the Night Worker films. These films are ostensibly not connected to one another in the fiction of the various universes, but rather share a core theme in that they center around a protagonist who makes a living after the sun goes down, typically in a less than scrupulous manner, and examine the isolation that often accompanies such a lifestyle. The other films that fall under this umbrella are American Gigolo, Light Sleeper, and The Walker. I haven't seen any of these movies, so I cannot comment on them with any degree of credibility, but I do know a thing or two about making a living after dark. For the majority of my working career, I have delivered pizza and worked the closing shift. You cannot see the similarities between this profession and that of a taxi driver. Let me spell it out for you. We both drive cars for a living. This might not seem like much initially. After all, people drive cars all the time, but there is something different about doing it professionally. As a pizza guy, I am on the periphery of so many of your social gatherings, football games, birthday parties, and so on, but I'm never a part of them. I show up at your door, drop off your food, and then return to my Prius, where I spend the next 20 to 30 minutes driving to the next stop, where I'll do it all over again. I would imagine driving a cab to be a similar experience. One where we are not physically alone, but rather psychically alone, constantly on the outside looking in on the lives of others. We are around plenty of people with relative frequency, but only for the purpose of serving more as decorations in the lives of other, more interesting people. All of this is to say that I can relate to Mr. Bickle, at least on some level. The key distinction being that when I would clock out at the end of my shift at the pizza shop, my isolation would more or less end. But when Travis Bickle clocks out at the end of his shift, meter's left running on his alienation. Because that's the thing about Mr. Bickle. He isn't alone because he is a taxi driver. He's a taxi driver because he is alone. Be it because of the PTSD that he may have suffered during his time in the Marines, or some other nebulous mental ailment, Travis simply cannot relate to other humans the way he would want to. And this shortcoming festers and grows until it metastasizes and manifests in violent misanthropy.
All the animals come out at night. Sick, venal. Someday a real rain will come and wash all this scum off the streets.
Mr. Bickle looks down his nose at the scum and the filth that he sees, wishing that rain would come and wash it all away. He sees himself as so much better than all of those around him, and wants, more than anything, to be recognized for that fact. He wants to be important, instead of invisible. Let's look at how this sentiment plays out with the quote, ladies in his life. In regards to Mr. Bickle's romantic endeavors with Betsy, he is constantly attempting to prove his worth to the woman instead of earnestly engaging with her. In the introduction between the two, Travis projects his loneliness onto Betsy and posits that he is the solution to such a thing. Then again in the diner, Travis attempts to aggrandize himself by pontificating on the psychic connection that he felt when he walked into the campaign office while simultaneously degrading Betsy's coworker. Finally, after their disastrous movie date, Travis sets out once again to prove how important he is in one of the most grisly ways imaginable. Now let's look at Iris. The life that the young girl is leading is very obviously not a tenable existence. But Travis is less focused on that and more how he can be the one that saves her from it. Mr. Bickle once again feels as if there is some sort of psychic connection between the two after their first meeting, even if the girl does not recall this encounter, and as such, feels as if he is the only one capable of freeing the girl from the life that she is leading. These notions of imagined importance play out further in the LARPing that Mr. Bickle does in front of the mirror in his apartment. He shows off to himself with all of his fancy new toys, talking down to a host of imaginary assailants. He's pretending to be the hero that he wants to be for Iris. He's imagining what it would be like to wash away the scum and the filth that he so despises. He is pretending to be important. But really, he's just looking tough for his own reflection. This all changes in the scene in the corner store where Travis shoots and kills a would-be robber. It is here that the switch really flips. It is here, at relatively small scale, that Mr. Bickle realizes his fantasies don't have to just be fantasies. He doesn't have to simply play make-believe in front of a mirror anymore. He doesn't have to only fantasize about ridding the world of the things he finds so detestable. He can make that fantasy a reality. But more than that, he realizes what it is like to have the ultimate power. The power over life and death. And much like the junkies that he loathes, he is hooked after the first hit. This sentiment adds another element to the scene where Mr. Bickle is posing in front of the mirror and adds more thematic relevance to that sequence. Travis is slowly becoming more and more like the thing that he finds so loathsome, but is too ensorcelled in his power fantasy to be aware of this. He sees the thing that he hates looking back at him from the reflection in the mirror, but is too wrapped up in his own sense of self-importance to notice. As the film progresses, Travis descends deeper and deeper into the dark depths of his morbid fantasy, and before long, we find ourselves in the climax of the film. Mr. Bickle's big day, if you will. The moment all of his training has been leading up to. A chance to prove to the world that he is not invisible. He finally has a shot at Palantine, and he flubs it terribly. He is clocked almost immediately by Secret Service and scurries away as his imagined reality comes crashing down around him. But, like the junkie that he is, he needs his fix. He didn't get it from Palantine, but he needs to get it from somewhere. He needs to be important. He needs to be powerful, one way or another. So he enacts his backup plan to, quote, save Iris. I use quotes here because, as I mentioned earlier, Travis really doesn't care about saving the girl. He's just using her as an excuse to enact the violence that he craves. She is just a means to justify his ends. At this point, Mr. Bickle wants two things: to die and have people remember him after his aforementioned demise. Be that memory one of renown or infamy. He wants to go out in a blaze of glory. But lo, Mr. Bickle does not die here. He lives another day to reap the rewards of his macabre machinations. The film ends with Mr. Bickle getting everything that he desired. He is a working-class hero with his name in the papers. He is the lowly taxi driver that rescued a sweet, innocent girl from the clutches of the criminal element. He gets the girl and drives off into the night like a cowboy into the sunset. He is a hero. Or is he? It is here in this closing scene that there seems to be a schism among audiences. One school of thought is that Mr. Bickle actually did die in the shootout. These closing moments are little more than fantasies, similar to the ones that he was having in the mirror of his apartment, played out in his mind during the final moments of his life. The second school of thought is more literal. Mr. Bickle survived the shootout as shown on screen, and is lauded as a hero by all of those around him. He finally got what he wanted: attention, and better yet, adoration. But he is still a junkie, riding high on his most recent hit of bloodshed. But the need for a fix will rear its ugly head once again before long. And the next time this happens, there will be no girl to rescue. For the record, director Martin Scorsese and writer Paul Schrader subscribe to the second school of thought. But they're your eyeballs. Use them to see the ending however you want. It's almost cliche to bring up, but I feel morally compelled to do so nonetheless. Travis Bickle is a prototype for so many characters that edgelords idolize. Your Jokers, or so I've read, I haven't seen it. Your Punishers, your Rorschachs, and even to some degree, your Rick Sanchez's. Young men look up to these characters because they relate to them on an emotional level without realizing the folly of such a thing. I don't want to lambaste these guys for doing this because that's the last thing that we should be doing as a society.
I wouldn't say a single word to them. I would listen to what they have to say, and that's what no one did.
But if you are watching this and look up to these misanthropic malcontents, I am begging you, look a little bit deeper. The story of Travis Bickle is not an endorsement of what he is doing, but rather a condemnation of it. Travis Bickle is a sad, pathetic man, unable to make genuine connections with those around him. He places the blame for this on society as a whole, rather than looking inward and realizing that he is the issue, not the rest of the world. The events of the film intimately follow him as he spirals deeper and deeper into his dark fantasies, and we watch as those fantasies bleed into reality. And that is the beauty of Taxi Driver. It's a masterful character examination of someone who by very definition is often looked over. And that is one of the reasons it's often heralded as one of the greatest films of all time. The runtime of the film is almost entirely dedicated to asking and answering one simple question: who is Travis Bickle?